All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining this afternoon. This is our May edition of our monthly webinar series for small business, Connecting for Success. I'm Barbara Coffey, Director of Economic Initiatives for the City of Tucson. And today we have two fantastic guests that will share with you some wonderful tools for your business. So we'll take your questions as we go. Feel free to enter those in the chat, and we'll get to as many of those as possible in our time together this afternoon. And we'll keep all participants muted since we do have a larger number, but we record the session as well and make it available for everyone as early as tomorrow afternoon. You should find this one and all the links to previous webinars there at connecttucson.com. So let's get started. First, I'll introduce Faith Ritchie. Faith serves as the Arizona Commerce Authority's Small Business Programs Manager. She assumed that role in September 2020, I want to say, right in the middle of a pandemic. I'm anxious to hear about how that went. But having spent, I think, about 3 years as well at Maricopa County in communications and community affairs positions, Faith holds a Master of Public Administration from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, where she also received her bachelor's degree in elementary education. Faith, I'll turn things over to you now. Welcome.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Barbara. I'm so happy to be a part of today's presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because luckily for me, Barbara did a wonderful introduction. So I feel like I don't have to introduce myself, and who doesn't love to be introduced. But as she mentioned, my name is Faith Ritchie, and I am the Small Business Programs Manager at the Arizona Commerce Authority. And I look forward to sharing all of the different connection points, support programs, and additional resources the ACA provides to entrepreneurs, founders, and small businesses across the state. Also, just as Barbara had mentioned, if you have any questions as it relates to some of the resources that I'm sharing in today's session, please don't hesitate to put those questions in the Q&A or send me a chat. I'm always happy to provide additional resources or contacts when and if necessary. So now I know many of you may already know some things about the ACA. So I just wanted to share our organization's mission. And the mission of the Arizona Commerce Authority is to grow and strengthen Arizona's economy and facilitate the creation of quality jobs for its citizens by attracting and supporting business and high growth industries throughout the state. Now it goes on to ask the question of why, and I think we all know, or hopefully know, why that's so important. And that's truly because a vibrant, diverse, statewide economy means increased opportunities for our citizens. So focusing on those three pillars of attract, expand, and create, we aim to help provide opportunities for all Arizona citizens and hopefully to make Arizona the best state to do business. Now, here is a glimpse of the Arizona Commerce Authority's previous 5-year goal plan. And I say previous because, lucky for us, this goal setting has wrapped up its time this year, and we are in current strategic meetings setting up our next 5-year plan. So unlike similar organizations, the ACA creates these 5-year strategic plans for ongoing growth and vitality. Now, if you're interested in learning about how we stacked up against these goals, or to learn more about the organization's goals for the upcoming 5 years, be sure to keep a lookout on our outgoing report this summer. However, if you are a little impatient like me, and I hate to admit it, but the first step is admitting, here is a quick glimpse of some of those 5-year goal results. Now, I do want to stress that these were huge goals for the organization. I'm not just sharing these amazing feats for no reason, but this truly speaks to, over 100, nearly 1,000% over our geared metric, truly does speak to the passion, work, and expertise of the ecosystem and the people who work at the ACA. And of course, all of our amazing economic development partners throughout the state. So again, for all of those goals and metrics, stay tuned. They'll all be announced this summer. Now, as I mentioned, I am part of the Small Business Services team. And while I would love to share all of those additional metrics with you, I figured we specifically move into the great work and programs that our small businesses can engage with across the state. Now, Arizona is home to nearly 500,000 small businesses. And with so many amazing small businesses across the state, the ACA has created and continues to create programming to support our entrepreneurs and small business owners. So ranging from training to education to support, the ACA likely has a program you can benefit from. So don't let all of these words on the slide confuse you. We're going to jump into each of these programs. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Put those in the chat, and I am happy to address those at the end of today's session. Excuse me. I get excited, so I have to calm myself down. So first, let's talk about training. I know it's such a huge point of conversation in the ecosystem. And so we really wanted to start with this information first. And to better support the growing need of skilled labor, the ACA supports the Arizona Advanced Technology Network and the Arizona Career Readiness Program. So now you know how you had to take a sip before I said all those. But the Arizona Advanced Technology Network is a result of emerging technologies that have evolved the manufacturing industry, leading to a surplus of advanced positions. As a response, the state's private companies, public sector, and academic institutions have come to get together to create a first of its kind partnership. Excuse me. I told Barbara before I was recovering from illness. I'm like, I'm prepared, and I'm glad I was. Excuse me. So the Maricopa County Community College District, Central Arizona College, and Pima Community College have partnered together to develop a unified industry-recognized curriculum specifically designed to teach the skills needed for high-paying, high-tech, advanced manufacturing jobs. Additionally, the Arizona Career Readiness Program was a major initiative set forth by Governor Ducey in partnership with Arizona at Work and the Office of Economic Opportunity. This makes the Arizona Career Readiness Credential available to job seekers across the state. Employees who hold this credential have passed 4 high-stakes proctored assessments that document their understanding and application of academic and professional skills relevant to every occupation, industry, and career pathway. Excuse me. Now, from growing in Arizona, let's take a quick shift to growing out of Arizona with export assistance. I promise I don't drink this much tea on a regular basis. Now, if you see the potential of your company to grow by exporting your products but are unsure of how to proceed, the Export Tech program can provide the structure and expertise your business needs. Hopefully and willfully, Export Tech eliminates the fear of the unknown. Experts with decades of export experience help you develop a proactive and strategic approach to identifying your best prospects in global markets. You will learn what you need to know about ensuring payment is received, protecting intellectual property, finding sales partners and marketing, achieve growth in export markets, and reduce the risk with help of the Export Tech program. Additionally, excuse me, The AZ STEP program is funded in part through a grant with the U.S. Small Business Administration, or SBA, and matching funds contributed by the Arizona Commerce Authority. The ACA runs Arizona State Trade Expansion Program, STEP, AZ STEP, there's a reason for all our acronyms, and assists Arizona small businesses to enter export markets for the first time or to expand in new markets. This will enable these businesses to increase their revenues via international sales and to thereby be given more significant engines for job creation and economic growth in Arizona. So if you are interested in these programs, again, there is always additional information you'll see on my slide on the AZ Commerce website. But again, for questions, I am happy to take those. Now, moving back to Arizona Programs for Growth, we have our Arizona Manufacturing Extension Partnership, also known as Arizona MEP. And the mission of this program is to make every Arizona manufacturer the most successful business it can be. The Arizona MEP team combines decades of leadership, manufacturing, operational, and business experience to help clients achieve their business goals in the most cost-effective manner possible. Again, this is for businesses statewide. You don't need to be in the Valley or another metro area. This is truly designed to help grow manufacturing across the state, offering all of these exclusive assistance opportunities as it relates to that growth as well. Now, a signature program for just over a decade with the Arizona Commerce Authority is the Arizona Innovation Challenge. Now, this challenge is one of the largest business plan competitions in the country and is designed to advance innovation and technology, opportunities in Arizona by assisting early stage ventures to scale. So again, relying on the amazing ecosystem of Arizona and the entrepreneurial community, they play a key role in driving the economy. And the Arizona Innovation Challenge has been serving, again, a little over a decade, since 2011. And you can see across 17 challenges, we've seen over 2,000 applicants. But these winners and participants of the AIC have welcomed over 1,200 jobs to Arizona with a follow-on capital of $630 million. So it just speaks to the powerhouse that Arizona is able to get our ventures up to. Now, our Venture Ready Accelerator is a 9-month-long mentor-led accelerator that helps rising founders commercialize their technologies, scale their go-to-market strategies, refine their capital strategies, and prepare for their next round of investment. Oh, excuse me. I hope this isn't uncomfortable for anyone. I feel like I'm like a sketch that just keeps taking sips. So thank you all for sticking with us today. This isn't my usual display. So the ACA hosts the Venture Ready Accelerator and the Arizona Innovation Challenge. Those applications will be made available on our website. And again, if you are interested in participating in either of these programs, I encourage you to fill out that application. Both are becoming highly recognized programs nationwide, and we truly have seen amazing growth with our founders and businesses that have participated. Not just won and graduated, but participated. All right, so let's talk the small business checklist. I hope those of you on the line have become familiar with the checklist or have at least heard of it. But if not, that's okay. The small business checklist is an interactive and intuitive online guide to help small business and entrepreneurs answer all of those commonly requested licensing and permitting questions for local, state, and federal levels. We encourage businesses, whether they're looking to start or grow, to always reference the small business checklist as your first stop to see what are the necessary streams to go through or connection points when growing or starting. Now, our small business boot camp formally was designed to assist small businesses of less than 20 employees return from the COVID crisis stronger than ever. But we have continued this boot camp series now within its second year. And it continues to provide content to assist small businesses prepare for success, plan for the future, and grow a thriving business. This is a statewide initiative supported by our community partners and hosts a content library and a newly added workshop series of extended topics. We host our webinars very much like the webinar we are in today every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. So I encourage you to register and see all the great programming we have upcoming. Our sessions range from all things of importance for small businesses. And as mentioned, our extended workshops offer a deep dive into all of those scary but necessary topics. Now, our content library, and truly, I believe it is the jewel of the website, but we'll keep that between friends. But the Small Business Bootcamp content library is the collection of more than 200 recorded webinar sessions. So all of those amazing pieces and knowledge that we've learned throughout the boot camp are all captured here on the content library, where anyone can play and watch, visit new topics, and revisit past topics as well. And last but certainly not least for our presentation, our time together today, is our Small Business Digital Academy. Now, our Small Business Digital Academy truly grew from the expectations and needs that we were seeing of small businesses, not just in the boot camp, but due to the effects of COVID. And so what we have created is a 6-week program designed to help small businesses scale their online presence and build their digital capacity. This is a program that is of no cost to any business that is interested in participating in it. You can learn from local experts and community mentors and guidance counselors and additional guidance from business counselors, there we go, to assist you with this digital process. So truly, from your website to your social media, your SEO and beyond, the Digital Academy is a great first step for businesses looking to truly create a presence online. So that is all of the information I came to share today. But as mentioned, if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to put those in the chat or a Q&A, and I'm always happy to take emails directly, and my email is on the screen.
Awesome. Thank you, Faith. And all great talk show hosts have a coffee mug at the, right next to them. So
let's
you
get comfortable.
You had to use yours. You never see. You always wonder what's in that mug. So yeah, hopefully that tea helps you. But I was thinking about before we move forward. Just is there maybe an example? Is there a story or two that you might be able to share from a business that has maybe participated in your programs, whether the Digital Academy or the boot camp or something, that you could share, a success or an opportunity that they came about after participating? What comes to mind?
Yeah, oh my gosh, the best part of the job comes to mind. So just for an example, our digital academy truly is a first step for businesses who are looking to create that online presence. So we had recently a business who graduated in our spring cohort, or I'm sorry, our winter cohort. I'm getting my seasons mixed up. Our winter cohort, who is having the most problems with Google. She couldn't get her Google My Business profile up. It just wasn't showing. She's been an established business for nearly 8 years, but had no digital footprint. After the 6 weeks of the program, she was able to get her Google My Business profile set up. She's already seen an increase in consumers who are reaching out to her for consultations, because we know the first thing we do when we're looking to do business is we Google them. For lack of a better search engine, we still know Google owns search, but really just providing that presence for her has truly been life-changing in her business. The email and kind of testimony that she had shared was she was genuinely ready to close the doors, if you will, because without that visual or digital footprint, she really wasn't getting the traction due to her business. And so we were able to provide her that mentoring or that connection to mentoring to really make that happen for her. Now, for the boot camp, we have seen amazing connections through education, through our PPP process, through EIDL loans, through all of those financial resources through COVID, but also for growing, for leadership. We've been able to see great connections made with our local experts and our businesses in need.
Awesome. And maybe that brings to mind, when you think about the businesses that maybe haven't Googled themselves. I mean, what do you recommend when they're trying to figure out how they do show up online? What do you recommend for that as a first step?
Yeah, definitely. That's genuinely the first step. And it's kind of funny because it sounds like, of course, you would Google yourself, but we get in the mindset of we know it's there, so we don't need to Google it. Or we know our web address, so we type that into the URL or click that shortcut on our website, on our computer, but we don't really know what that presence looks like. And so to Google yourself to see what that looks like as far as your Google business profile, where you're ranking in that infamous page or now endless scroll of Google is very important to see how you're being seen, but also your social media. Are you engaging? Are you responding? Or are you just posting erratically, maybe once this week and maybe not for a couple weeks, and not responding to people? So it's something to just be aware of how you would want a business to respond to you. So of course, that first step is Google, see what that looks like, because local SEO is a huge driver for business.
That's awesome. And I think those are some of the things that you're going to learn, right, in one of your, the Digital Academy. And so to have that sort of a 6-week focus, right, where you can just intentionally walk yourself through what are some ways I can enhance my online presence and learn about doing business that way. So, right. So that's exciting. And I love that it was no cost for some of those programs that you mentioned. And I think even on your export programs and such, there are sometimes low cost opportunities, right, to participate in certain things. And so I do hope people will look at those programs as it pertains to their business. There were a couple of questions. Lisa asked if you had a small business directory.
I don't believe we have a public small business directory as far as what you're looking for, or to connect with businesses. I'm happy to follow up on that, because I'm sure there is a list somewhere. But I'm happy to check on that and then try to find it only in Phoenix, nothing in Tucson. These are all the programs that I'm sharing. Our boot camp, our workshops, our digital academy are all virtual based, if not in a hybrid approach, meaning both live and webinar access. So those registrations links you may see on the website, applications for the program will link you virtually.
And I'm excited about that. I will have people stay tuned, because maybe there will be some things that we can help bring to Tucson related to some of your programs. So So thank you, Faith, and we'll keep rolling. I want to introduce Sue Oliver. Sue is the director of the Pima Community College Small Business Development Center. She brings over 25 years experience in advising businesses from around the world. Her career includes executive roles with various startups, Fortune 50 companies, and nonprofits. Also in her background, Sue directed Seattle University's Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center for 8 years. During the pandemic, Sue assisted with her family's business in San Diego while chairing the local SCORE chapter. So she has a wealth of knowledge for small business. Sue, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for being here. I was going to say, if Faith felt bad at all, I have my big, huge gallon jug of water, given that I came from Seattle and San Diego, and I'm going through my first summer. So if you see me chugging that, you'll know. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as well, get you all queued up here. All right. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Small Business Development Center. It is all things small business. And so I am the director who got here in September, so I have got a lot to learn. I was fortunate enough to come into a really solid team, into a phenomenal ecosystem. I want to just do a shout out that Faith is so right on about the services that the ACA has to offer, including the Digital Academy, which we were part of at the end of last year. So very, very high kudos to the ACA. I'll be talking a little bit more about other community partners, obviously, in addition to the City of Tucson Economic Development Group. So we're very, very, very fortunate. So the SBDC was established about 42 years ago by an act of Congress, and we are funded through the Small Business Administration by a very large grant. And we're housed, you'll see here in Arizona, at a variety of colleges that provide matching funds for our operations. We are available in over 50 states and territories, now over 1,000 centers around the US and the territories, serving about 250,000 small businesses annually. And one thing I think that's really awesome, among others, for this SBDC is that we have not only access to world-class research, but certified business counselors, portfolio managers who go through rigorous training. And we also have a very, very rigorous process of capturing the impact and attributing it to the work that we do here at the SBDC. And then in Arizona, we are part of the national SBDC network, and we are considered to be the state's largest resource for small business counseling across all stages of business. There are 10 SBDC centers around Arizona with a variety of satellites, and we are the second largest. We cover both Pima and Santa Cruz counties, over 10,000 square miles, and Maricopa is the largest of the SBDC centers here in Arizona. We also are connected with procurement technical assistance centers. We'll talk a little more about that later, but for government contracting, we call them PTACs. And I mentioned that we're housed here at Pima Community College. This is just a real brief look at the overall state network's website. It's relatively new because it really is a wonderful way of featuring the mission of the network, which is all about starting, growing, and having businesses thrive. And this is the main portal. And when we give you the link to register for services, you'll also be able to see this information. So who do we serve? We focus on for-profit, independently owned businesses, I mentioned in Pima and Santa Cruz counties. Small business may not be exactly who you would think. It's really businesses that have 500 or fewer employees. However, we really focus on all growth stages. That includes startups, that includes businesses that are scaling, those that are pivoting, those that want to be sold, and everything in between. In fact, those are the metrics that our grant requires us to really serve to. Number of startups, the amount of capital or money that we connect these small businesses to, the jobs that are created and supported, as well as the number of clients that we uniquely serve year over year. So how do we do what we do? So we work with clients on an individual, no-cost business counseling standpoint for as long as it takes, is what we say. But basically, really working with clients, small businesses, to connect to capital, and that might be bank funding, it might be venture capital, it might be startup funding, it might be a variety of financing, but it's really the idea that to make money move, when you make money move, great things happen. And so we do offer business planning, counseling. We also provide no-cost training and webinars. And so when you go to the website, you'll see both ourselves here in Pima County, but also online a variety of other webinars available throughout the state of Arizona through the other centers. So a lot of areas like financial skills, we tend to have a sweet spot in the area of working with businesses to better understand how to make their own money move through their startup or their existing businesses, or if they want to grow and scale. In the areas of functional support with business counseling, we focus on sales and marketing and operations, kind of your standard functions, as well as some areas like international trade, manufacturing, and technology. And we really do balance. You'll see when you look at our metrics that we really do balance between in-business clients and startups in terms of how we do what we do. And feel free along the way, if you have any questions, to go ahead and put those in the chat. Diving in a little bit more deeply into how we serve our business clients, small business clients, we can, if you're thinking about going to get a business loan, or you want to perhaps rent or buy some property and you're really not sure how to do that, whatever level of financing you might need, we've got business counselors that have been doing this for a long time and have significant portfolios as portfolio managers to really bring all your information together wherever you are in your process and see what it's going to take to connect you with lenders. We have a lot of connections and referrals in the community to really have you show up as best as possible to be able to access that particular financing, particularly bank financing, because they have certain kinds of criteria that they look at, and a lot of times you may not know exactly what they are. So we can work with you to be bank ready. We also really provide different kinds of tools so you can look at and develop financial projections, not only to look at where you've been, but where you're going to be going, where you want to go with your business. And we have a variety of connections, as I mentioned, in funding strategies. And just a little shout out, even though we're kind of at the other side, hopefully, of the pandemic, our team as well, as Faith mentioned, had done a lot of really wonderful work in creating and connecting small businesses to PPP and EIDL relief funding so that those businesses could continue to make payroll, to keep their doors open, to continue to serve their end clients throughout the pandemic and the lockdowns. Mentioned a little bit about our results. We, in the last year, 2021 calendar year, we were working with at least 19 startups with 220 jobs created or retained, and doubled our funding goal that we were on. We signed up for at $21.5 million, and then a $7.9 million revenue increase year over year for their small businesses. Now, sometimes folks might look at the SBDC and say, well, do you work with startups? Do you work with underserved communities? And if you look at those 19 startups, thanks to some analysis by one of our counselors, we found out in the last year that 16 of those startups identified as either minority or women-owned businesses. And in terms of that $21.5 million in capital or money that was raised, the majority of it came from startups. So let's take a look at what we do. We can't do what we do without the fantastic partners that are in this community. I have to say, coming out of Southern California and the Northwest, I have been so thrilled to connect with the different partners. It is almost overwhelming, all the information, all the resources that you as business owners have available to you. And what an SBDC business counselor can do with you as you sign up for no-cost counseling is not only support you in determining where you want to go with your business and connecting you to resources along the way, but also help you kind of look at all the different resources that are out there. And it's really wonderful. There is such a connected ecosystem that we don't fight over each other. So you might say, hey, I want to work with the University of Arizona Center for Innovation or SCORE, Southern Arizona. But we all really work together. One of the things, though, that we are very, very clear on at the SBDC is we keep your information confidential. And so we do not share your name or information, and you won't see us putting out names of clients because that is such an important part of what we do. So obviously, we connect with the City of Tucson and the Arizona Commerce Authority in so many wonderful ways. And the Arizona Commerce Authority is one of our funders. Thank you very much. And in addition, there's the Arizona Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. I mentioned the PTAC group. So again, you might have a particular product or service, and you want to figure out how do you connect to the local, state, or federal governments, because there's a lot of fantastic set-asides and opportunities for you to connect with those. So we can connect you to those PTAC centers. There's the SBA district office as well, lots of information there. And then I mentioned Southern Arizona SCORE, which provides no-cost free mentoring services. Really good choice if you have maybe just an idea that you're noodling and you want to really work with a mentor one-on-one and kind of hear, how do I take that kind of idea to the next level? Startup Tucson's are really a great opportunity. I was just there last week as well. Got a really wonderful space where there's all kinds of events and networking and activities and classes and specialized services as well. So definitely check them out. And I don't know, Barbara, if you're going to be sharing the PowerPoints, but the links are in the PowerPoint here if you do that. And then I mentioned the University of Arizona Center for Innovation for some more of the higher growth, high-tech commercialization activities. We also partner very closely with an SBA, a resource partner, the Women's Business Center over at the YWCA here in town. And then finally, the Veterans Business Outreach Center. So if you or a family member is a veteran or in active military, you have access to a lot of resources. There are all kinds of startup boot camps and reboots there as well. And a lot of those are online hybrid as well. So all of these kinds of services are available to you, and we'd be happy to talk to you about how to kind of tease through them and see what's best. In addition to obviously the City of Tucson's navigators, which have a key role in doing that as well. And I mentioned local lenders. We have a lot of connections depending on what size of a loan or financing you might want. And we always give our referrals in packs of 3. We don't just recommend one, so you'll have an opportunity to go and check out some of the different partners that are out there. For example, we recommend finding a CPA, finding a small business attorney as soon as you possibly can, because they're such the important parts of your startup team and your small business team as you grow. And so with that, I'll just say if there's any questions, here's my contact information. And like Faith, I really welcome anybody to contact me directly at the email address here or to call my number directly. I am really willing to have a conversation to see what we can do for you or what our other resource partners can do for you as you are continuing on your small business journey. Thank you. And here's the link as well to registering for business counseling services.
That's awesome. And I thank you so much, Sue. I love when I think about the SBDC and the role that it plays in our small business community. It's like triage, right? I mean, really, it's a place you can go if you're a business owner and just sort of tell the whole story, lay out sort of what you're dealing with, your challenges, your opportunities, and you all really help pinpoint the things and resources that a business owner might need to be successful. So I love that, and we are great partners, all of us actually, the state and our local community partners like the SBDC. So, I loved the last slide too, because I also liked the conversation around lending, especially as it relates to the kind of support you can get from the SBDC, because you all know the lending community. You know all the lenders, you know the kinds of things they're doing, their sweet spots, as I like to call it, or maybe the types of things that they can fund and that they're willing to do. And so I definitely recommend that, and for a business owner to that's looking for access to capital, to talk to you all about that particular piece. Also, because your familiarity with all the SBA products, which is a lot of what our lenders are using. So maybe some examples from your side. I asked Faith kind of the same thing. Have you seen something? You had your results slide, so you all have been very busy. You've exceeded your goals. What are some successes that you can share? Was there a business that went from point A to point B, and how they got there? What can you think of?
Well, I think one of the most recent ones that we've shared, and I won't use the name, but it is there are a lot of restaurants. So we do a lot of work with small businesses that have a footprint, and we're very, very much impacted during COVID, and particularly shutdowns. And we, arguably the percentage is 30 to 40% of small businesses had to shut their doors. And so we had one particular bar and restaurant on a pretty well-known street that was able to create a really innovative structure outside to allow for outdoor seating that was really kind of cool and funky. And one of our business counselors, who is, I want to just say our business counselors on the team have been doing this for a long time, and they really do know. They've got long-standing clients. And so this particular counselor worked with the business owner, and they were able to not just add and stay open, but to continue to thrive. And so I think that's one of many examples that we look at. And I did mention the COVID relief funding as well, that we hear that, we get cards or we get notes to say, hey, if it wasn't for your team working through long hours over a really rough year last year of helping us get that extra relief funding, we would not be here today. So, and in many cases, in partnership with organizations like the ACA, a lot of the businesses had to pivot, had to move from a physical footprint and at least temporarily into the cloud and be doing things on the internet, whether it be selling products or selling services and getting creative. And so our business counselors are really great at not just listening, but really encouraging the business owners to think beyond, like, what's next after, and most importantly, being prepared for what might be around the corner, so that it's not a surprise if we have to go back to the to lockdowns, heaven forbid. So yeah.
Well, and that brings me to a question I have. I'm just curious, your perspectives, both of you. I mean, reflecting on the pandemic and what we've all been through over the last couple of years, businesses having to make all of those changes, and a lot of changes very quickly, as you mentioned, learn how to do business differently almost. So the question is, are businesses better off because of that? Were there some things that now maybe make them more resilient? I mean, what do you see? What do you say about that?
That's a really good question, and that's a tough one, because we'd have to speak to the ones that are left, and then those that did close their doors. What I have seen is that some of them have chosen other avenues. Maybe that particular business was closed and they went and did something else. But I think for the businesses that remained open, I think resiliency is the ability to make it through really challenging times. We don't know what's in front of us. I mean, right now, at least in the world of inflation and interest rates, we're seeing the impact of that and the cost of supplies and challenges and breakdowns in the supply chain. So I like to say that the entrepreneurial mindset, the growth mindset, is one that thinks about possibilities and solutions in the midst of challenges. And I don't wish that on anybody, but I would say that those that have made it through, certainly in terms of resiliency, can take on anything that comes their way if they really, if they've got the resources and they've got the support and other factors. And I'd have to say some of it's luck. I mean, the great entrepreneurs I know, small business owners, would say that they, in some respects, were fortunate. Different opportunities came their way.
Yeah, just to echo what Sue said, it's genuinely a growth mindset is what we saw to shine. As Barbara, you mentioned, I started right in the midst of COVID, and I still kind of break out in hives when we hear the word pivot. But it truly was that, right? It was growth mindset, just perpetuated and accelerated. And I think while, as Sue said, a lot of businesses were left shuttered. And it really made those who are still standing accelerate that growth process or accelerate that pivot process much faster than I think any of us would have been prepared for otherwise.
Well, and then that's kind of leads to my next question is how then do business owners continue to create that sense of urgency that really the pandemic kind of forced upon us, right? How do they continue to push themselves to improve or enhance for their business? How do they stay focused and move forward, whether it's digital presence or bookkeeping or workforce training or growth planning? I mean, how do they create that urgency without a pandemic?
Well, I might suggest that the urgency is always going to be there, because if you look at the average attrition rate in general for small businesses, it's pretty high. And so the small businesses seem to have, by definition, a sense of urgency. And so if it's not the pandemic, is it the inflation, is it supply chain? There's always going to be things coming their way. But I think to the point about focus, I think that's where a business counselor, I think that's where the tools like the ACA, City of Tucson, navigators can really work alongside small businesses to just remind them not only to just focus on the important things, but also to focus on working on their business, not just in their business. Because when things are urgent and when financing is tight, it's very easy to lose sight of not just where you're going, but also why you're doing what you're doing. So I think business counselors and mentors can really support small businesses in remembering their why they did it in the first place.
That's exactly what I was going to share, Sue. We're seeing so many businesses joining our digital academy, joining our hands-on workshops, and it's really a lack of understanding of those foundational base, that why, that market, that consumer, and answering those questions. And so if you're unable to answer those foundational questions of your business, you're going to be easily shook. And so by tapping into systems and by tapping into resources like SBDC, like SCORE, like so many great resources across the state, a business and a founder are really just positioning themselves for support and positioning themselves for success.
Yeah, and I think you hit on it exactly, right? It's the more you have some focus, even when, again, maybe absent a pandemic, then you're going to be able to prepare for whatever that next unplanned emergency or interruption in business might be, right? It's
right.
Just keep
and there's
that.
Always going to be an emergency, right? It's just not going to be on the news every day for a year.
Right.
But there's always going to be something that comes up. So again, just reinforcing that stability and reinforcing that network is just really pivoting and positioning yourself for success.
That's awesome. So maybe a good way to round out the conversation in your own areas of expertise, I'll ask each of you, what are 3 things, maybe your 3 best pieces of advice or nuggets of wisdom, as I like to call them, but 3 good pieces of advice for a small business owner? You can share it in 3 words or phrases and expand on that. What do you think is most important for the business owner? And Sue, you would like to go first. All right.
Well, I think we already said it, but I'll reiterate, focus on the why, because it is really, and really constantly come back to why you're doing what you're doing and who you're doing it for. And if that changes significantly, then revisit if maybe there's something else you want to do. I think that's number 1. I think understanding finances is really critical. And I'd say understanding cash flow, because cash is so critical. And so really working with whoever it is, whether it be the SBDC or others, to understand the money that's coming in, the money that's going out, and how you pay yourself and how you pay your, if you've got employees, to stay, to basically keep that cash flow, because that is really critical. You might have revenues coming in, but you have no cash. So that's really important. Making those relationships, which implies asking for help. And some people say it's a 4-letter word. I say it's really critical, not just to build relationships in this wonderful ecosystem, but also ask for support, what it is that you want, even if you don't even know what it is. And I think that's where we are here, when you just simply say, hey, I don't even know what I need. Let's talk. So asking for help and really being open to that, I think are the 3 things I'd say.
Right.
Definitely. And I don't want to steal all of Sue's 3 points, but they do speak so much to be true. Of course, that why are you in business? Why is your product or solution what that consumer needs? You should be able to answer that question regardless of where your business is in growth. My second, but different from Sue, that I would recommend any small business owner is to take care of yourself. We hear so much about burnout from employees in corporate life, but genuinely, and I am not a small business owner, but I have had experience working with small business owners, and for a person to wear all the hats is a daunting task. And if you are not in a clear mindset, if you're not able to soak in information, or if you're just not interested in those things, that inspiration won't come to you and you won't actively be looking for opportunities for your business. And last but certainly not least, and a little bit of a repeat from Sue's 3 points, genuinely is connecting with a network. We see so many small business owners with fantastic ideas, and they're really good at that idea. They're really good at baking that cake or making that food, but they don't know their financial statements. They don't know how to hire the right team. And that's okay, but you need to identify a network of support that can help you through that process, or it can point you in the right direction to get the correct answers. Because while you're already wearing all the hats, it's nice to be able to lean on that network of support to truly get all of those insights and feedback that you may just be unaware of.
I think that's awesome. The realization that you don't have to go it alone. And that's really, I think, the message to our business community is there is another business person out there that's dealing with some of the same things that you are, right? And so you don't have to do it by yourself. Reach out to our resource partners here and find those connections, as you also mentioned, that network. I also love the serendipity of the connections and the network that opens up to you when you do start connecting in and talking to people, because you find that CPA or you find that answer about the real estate, lease agreement that you're concerned about. You find someone else who can share a piece of information that also, all of a sudden it gives you that aha moment. So I think there's this power and serendipity in the networking that can help your business. So you both have spoken to that. So I love it. And it's fantastic. We're going to continue to support in the ways we can. We do our monthly seminars in this way, but we do have our small business navigators that are out in the community and meeting with businesses and helping to answer questions and steer them really to the resources that you all have brought forward and shared about today. So thank you for doing that. It's extremely valuable, and I appreciate you both. So thank you. And I'm happy to have any other questions. If there are any lingering questions that are coming through, happy to take those. But definitely we will be back again next month. And so I'll wrap us up. We'll be back on Tuesday, June 28th at 3 p.m. So everyone can watch your inbox for the announcement and the registration link. We'll keep you connecting for success. You can also call our City of Tucson Economic Initiative Small Business Assistance Line at 520-837-4100. And you can visit connecttucson.com for resources and to sign up for our email newsletters and updates. So with that, I think I will say thank you again to my great panelists. So happy to have you both here today.
Thanks
so much.
Awesome. All right. I'll close us out. We'll see you next time.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.